Howdy all, I'm Adam the Renaissance Nerd. You are new to this channel or old. Let it be said, I love real Star Wars. Whether you've heard me say it before or you're first hearing it now, I'm an EU guy. I raise that banner and I wave it proudly. I believe real Star Wars began in 1977 and ended in 2012 when Disney bought it and excluded all that came before in favor of their glorious, so clean and tidy Disney timeline that needs to be constantly retconned. Yesterday, or today, depending on, I guess, when you look at it in the morning, I guess, whatever. Mando Season 3 arrived. The Mandalorian, hailed as the greatest thing Disney Star Wars has put out because, why, I don't know. No, not many people can actually say it. I've always described it way back in the beginning. Some can quote it. I didn't have a channel yet, but many heard me say it here and there. I can't really find them these days, but I've said it that Mandalorian was like a glass of dirty water that you found coming out of the desert. You're dying of thirst. The wasteland of Disney Star Wars has left you parched, in need of sustenance, and you find that dirty water. And while it's not clean and not pure, it won't kill you. And it just might keep you alive a little bit longer. So you drank it and you said thank you because it tasted like ambrosia. Mandalorian is mid at best. I've said it a long time. I believe it. Mid at best. Frankly, I think it's garbage trash. It shows no creativity. It shows no continuity. It's 80% filler. And it relies on Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda Grogu. They tried to get rid of him, and they brought him back to keep it going. Last night, this morning, however you want to look at it, the finale for Season 3 happened, filled with so much awe. People, many who ride the short bus on Twitter, were so pumped and jazzed. They had all their theories of what was going to happen. And even those of us who dislike it had our theories about how bad it would be. And let's be honest, from what I can tell today, none of those theories actually came true. Kind of just went, and you're left with a your shorts ain't filled with shit, but there's a skid mark because it was a wet fart. That's all it was. And people are reacting mixed reviews, mixed reactions from some who I will call fans of Star Wars and others who I will call shills and stands and short bus riding idiots on Twitter. In a long story short, apparently everybody went to rescue Mando. Mando wasn't a manzel in distress, as many in our sphere tried to predict he would be a manzel in distress, need to be saved again by Bo-Katan. But no, apparently he saved himself, and they all fought against Moff Gideon, his Darth Maul, Vader, Beskar armor. And there was a fight. And apparently it wasn't even between the Mando and him. It was between Bo-Katan, the Darksaber, that glorious creation of not interesting canon lore made by Dave Filoni, was crushed and destroyed, discarded now because it really caused more problems than it solved. As a piece of lore and content, is what I'm saying. Baby Yoda saved some people from fire, and Moff Gideon was cloning himself. And then in the end, the Mandalorians are back on Mandalore, and now Din's a bounty hunter for the New Republic, and everything still leads to the Disney sequel trilogy. Nothing has stopped. No Civil War was raged. Nobody will ever say that Luke Skywalker's coming because it's Jake Skywalker in the end with more Rey. Because it's all true. Nothing stopped. It's all there. But the reviews are mixed. They're not sure what to think. We can scroll through a bunch of these, and some are going, oh, it was so great. It was weird. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but it was great. It was mid. It was the most mid shit I've seen in a while. Set up so many things that went absolutely nowhere in the finale, and that's where we're going to kind of steer this towards. I'm going to steer this towards the fact that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau don't understand Star Wars. They don't understand storytelling. Maybe once upon a time, Jon Favreau did Dave Filoni never did. He never understood it. Fight me on that. He never understood storytelling. I'm sorry, Clone Wars, 75% of it is shit. You're never going to convince me otherwise. There's little parts that work, but most of it is just plodding along, nonsensical crap that hurts actual Star Wars canon. Remember, I say Star Wars canon, everything between 1977 and 2012. This ain't canon, though the shills constantly want you to remember that and think that. So many things. Absolute waste of time, honestly. So many things built up across the season, nothing paid off in the finale. That's a theme here through a lot of these tweets. Went nowhere. Where's the story? This and that. It feels rushed. So many things. Meh. We like the action, but there was no nothing. These characters are empty. How can we get to a season 4? Although some people are going to say there's cope. There's a lot of cope going on. Mandalorian was pretty enjoyable, but it didn't quite live up to the hype they had built up for it. Fun reveals, a kick-ass final battle, an emotional Mando-Grogu moment, but other than that, it almost felt a little flat. Can't wait for season 4. How can it feel flat and you can wait for more? That's called cope. That's called trying to convince yourself. It's called cognitive dissonance, where you know something was bad, but you're trying to convince yourself that you didn't just waste your time. Just ask Wheel of Time fans. They suffer from it a great deal, those who are still standing for the live action show. But in the end, a lot of this didn't make sense from what I understand. They set up all this stuff about spies, and nobody was a spy. No one was revealed to be a spy. They set up all this stuff about how Thrawn is going to show up, yet Thrawn never showed up. And my favorite here, Raging Rhino, brings this up here on Twitter. Okay, this is one of my funniest things I ever had seen or heard in Star Wars. Laugh my ass off. I mean, he gave his clones the Force, like it's some sort of super serum. Yeah, so apparently Moff Gideon's grand plan, after creating Beskar stormtroopers and armor, which again, I question because Mandalorians are the only ones who have the secret to forging Beskar, even in actual Star Wars canon and lore. The Force is not, as to quote Raging Rhino here, the Force is not a super soldier serum you can simply inject and give it to somebody. You're born Force sensitive. And yes, he goes on to say right here, I would just like to point out anyone that is trying to use the Starkiller or Juros Sabaoth as a reason why this concept isn't stupid. If you clone a being that is already Force sensitive, then the clone to be Force sensitive. The host matters. As proved by Palpatine in actual Star Wars lore, where he was resurrected, not necessarily, he simply transferred his Dark Force energy to clones of his own body. And his whole master plan was to put himself, his essence, into that of the unborn Anakin Solo, who was also Force sensitive. You can't just take Force sensitivity and put it into something that isn't there. Has to be a ground, has to be in the DNA, has to be a part of the makeup, part of the soul. You can't just make Force sensitive creatures. And so that's how this is so absurd. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau do not understand how any of this works. It's retarded, plain and simple. And not to ignore the fact it was a clone army of Moff Gideon. He cloned himself. It's so silly. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. It's dumb. And then Dave Filoni can't even. He has to copy himself. Apparently, this short bus riding idiot. It's like poetry. They rhyme. Where apparently this happened in Rebels, where one guy blocked something with the Force, and now Baby Yoda Grogu does it himself to save people. He copies his own crap. He can't even be original on his. It's really mind-numbing. So you go back to this. It's all what happened in this season. I've heard that question asked a lot. What happened? Nothing. Mando got kidnapped over and over again. They saw a mythosaur, which meant nothing. And apparently the giant climactic resolution of the relationships is that Mando adopts Baby Yoda Grogu, and he's called Din Grogu. I'm sorry. I can only laugh at how silly this is. This holds none of the power or impact that all those books do with storylines that make sense and characters that mean something. These characters mean nothing. They're empty. He's riding in a goddamn droid. He's in a motorized baby carriage. It's laughable. How can you take any of this seriously? You can't. That's why people are checking out. Season 3, rotten. Audiences are done. They don't, what few they had, and remember, it's less than 2 million people watching this on a regular basis. Nobody's watching this. The normies are gone. And some people who are watching it, who do have a brain, I've heard in discussions today, again, I liked it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. I didn't love it. My boy Dre, my boy Dre. Although we did get this one wrong, we thought Baby Yoda. Again, where was the hints of Baby Yoda's going to speak? Apparently, he didn't speak either. No Baby Yoda words. What are we going to do with Disney Star Wars? What we always have to do. We ignore it. We make fun of it. We mock it. We roast it. I document its downfall. That's going to drag Disney down, and Disney's going to have to jettison Star Wars, Lucasfilm, because it costs too much money, and there's no return. No one buys the merch. The normies don't watch it. After today, done. No one's going to be talking about this a week from now. We'll talk about it this weekend on the roundtable, but then that's it. Then it goes dormant until August when Ahsoka comes out and we get to roast that and all its stupidity. This is a sham. It's a dead franchise as long as Disney holds it. Real Star Wars, right there, in your heart. You collect, protect, and preserve it. We share it amongst ourselves. We bring new people in when we can. Start with the Thrawn trilogy and go from there. Then pick your way, pick your path after that. But the EU is there waiting. And the EU in all its glory, the expanded universe, dwarfs anything that Disney tries to put out. Disney lives in its shadow, and that's what frustrates them the most. Us? I'm unaffected by this. I laugh, as you can see, I laugh at it. I roll my eyes, and I roast it, as do many. And I hope that this just makes more of you interested in what real Star Wars looks like. The expanded universe is waiting. You simply have to let it in. All right, I'm done. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, a like would be very much appreciated. If you are new here, I invite you to subscribe to me right here on YouTube. We hope to earn your trust and support using facts and logic, because facts and logic don't care about whiny standing SJW fifis. Hit that notification button, share my videos if you like what I'm preaching, and by all means, leave a comment. Love to hear what you guys have to say. I care what you think, because you're real passionate fans. I don't care what the stand and the SJWs have to say, because 201, they're all cowards behind keyboards, and I hope this triggers these short bus riding stands into a frenzy, because that just makes my day. Thank you again for watching. Take it easy. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you'd like to reach out to me, please email me at theranernerd@gmail.com for all channel business purposes. I am on Twitter now, mostly for promotion and sharing of videos, maybe a little shit stirring here and there, who knows, @theranernerd. You can also find me at the Geeks and Gamers forums under @ROAS, and you can see me on Rumble and Odyssey under the Renaissance Nerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.